Curious to know how many in this room have a habit of zooming the picture you see, be it in your WhatsApp forward or Facebook or any social media. Please raise your hands. I need honest answers, please. So everybody has the habit, right? So even I have the habit. So this session would be interesting for you guys because we are going to talk about why Zoom is very important and how we deal with this one. Imagine you are having a marketing team who are actually running a global campaign, and they have uploaded a big PDF file having a lot of details in it. And a marketing team asks, why don't we share it to the public and having a deep zoom feature enabled, right? And every developer here, architect here knows how simple the requirement is. Once you start implementing it, you'll face the pain points, you'll face the issues. And this session starts with that addressing the pain point, and we'll try to overcome the issues in the next few minutes, right? Good afternoon again. I'm Vinodhkumar Prakasha. I'm a solution architect, part of EPAM Systems. I have years of experience in Sitecore. I have been joined with my colleague, Gayathri.
Yeah, hi everyone.
So this is the agenda for the next few minutes. We'll start with why a deep zoom matters. What are the pain points while we get requirements, change requirements from marketers? How we implement it, and we'll have a quick demo. Gayathri will show you. Then we have some plans for AI implementations in it, and then we have some time for Q&A. I hope the agenda is clear. I'm assuming everybody having phone here. If you can quickly scan this QR code and see what kind of image you are getting it, so that we can explain how it's a large size PSD file which has been created for a luxurious watch brand, where you can able to see the details only on zooming. Why do we need zoom? So why you are actually zooming the detail, why you are actually zooming the pictures you see? Everybody requires details, right? Nobody just go and see and change it. Users need details. Say, for example, even a simple example is a food product. Whenever you buy a packaged food product, you get into know what are the ingredients in it. In order to see it, you need to do a physical zoom, right? Beats and medicine to understand the composition. And very popular example is a disclaimers, right? Very well known about the mutual fund disclaimers, right? So all these skins you will come to know only when you have that zoom feature, right? At least in physical world. Coming to the marketers, these zoom feature, deep zoom feature help us to increase the time to market, to fasten their campaigns, right? So whenever a large campaign is been launched in a very large screen, it contains lot of details, and in order to prepare that particular asset, we need to do a lot of work, lot of stakeholders involved, many validations needs to be done. In order to validate those things, we can't give access to everyone who are the stakeholders in part of Content Hub or in any Sitecore systems. In order to make it, we need to prepare a public URL where people can quickly look into it, validate it, and post it in the respective digital channels. And finally, the moment you have the public access for the assets whichever you are doing, it will be reaching to the wider audience, which actually reduces the IT infrastructure cost. In order to, we don't have to create multiple renditions for each image you create. For each section of the zoom and rendition, you can actually have everything covered in a single image, and that can save a lot of efforts from marketers, lot of efforts from creative team, and lot of efforts from the IT team, which ultimately reflects in the infrastructure and IT costs. You have already scanned the image and you can see that what is currently available. If you see into the image, there are words in the watch faces which gives the watch brand name, the timeless quotes. So these things would not be available in an open Zoom. I have a slide after we implement the changes. There you can see all the critical details which have been implemented. But Sitecore Content Hub provides the Zoom out of box. It can be done. We can do the Zoom, but only after logging into the Sitecore Content Hub. The right side video shows how we are actually zooming the asset within the Content Hub. There, you are actually expected to log in into the Sitecore Content Hub, and then you have to do the Zoom functionality. We have a public URL where people can access it, but it doesn't have the deep zoom functionality, which you are all seeing. For that, the file which we have uploaded is a medium size file. If there is a large size file, there are high chances that the file may not load, and sometimes browsers may get crashed. And to overcome these things, we try to implement the changes in order to enable the deep zoom in Sitecore Content Hub. Again, it's time for you to scan the QR code. So this is the updated version. You can actually see the differences with the first scan QR code and the second one. We'll wait. With this image, you can actually deep zoom it. You don't need a login for Sitecore Content Hub. This particular asset is actually saved in Sitecore Content Hub, and nobody has been given any access at this point of time. And you can able to use the zoom feature, Sitecore Content Hub zoom feature. There you can see the percentage. You can select the percentage there, and it will keep on zooming it, and you can able to see the details over there. It works very well for all the public links. It works very well for different sizes of assets. And we have implemented a formula which is actually a secret Gayathri will be going through. And this will reduce the pipeline burden into the Sitecore Content Hub if the customers or if the organization is having multiple millions of assets. So what is the tangible outcome of this? We were able to reduce the load time, not even 2 or 3 seconds. You can get that within seconds, within microseconds. We totally eliminated the browser cache issue, right? There is no instances where a browser has been crashed, and you are all seeing the public links are available. Nobody has been given any Content Hub access, but it can be used publicly. Whoever have the link, they can easily quickly do it. And main point is the clarity of the image. The first scanner, which you have seen, which is coming out of box from Sitecore Content Hub, the clarity is missing whenever you are zooming after a particular percentage. But once we implement it, the clarity, that is not only reducing it, clarity increases, but gives more clear view of this of the particular picture. So with this, I'll hand over to Gayathri. She will reveal how we actually implemented this one. Over to you, Gayathri.
Yeah, I'm here to share the secret how we have implemented this one. Yeah. So it is basically a 3-layer approach. So what is there in each layer? I'll explain a bit on that. So the client which we are handling is nearly having 2.4 million assets in the Content Hub. So for them, like to have deep zoom in all the assets would definitely hamper their Content Hub environment. So which we don't do it. So that is where we went into this 3-layer approach. So the layer 1 is basically like what we are dealing with variety of assets. So when particularly we are focusing on the PSD. So when the product managers who is dealing with the product wanted to have a designer to be design on their respective products, and that is how it has been moved into a Content Hub. So when it's been with the Content Hub, I cannot have this been like zoomed for all the assets. So what we had as a checkpoint of media processing set. So in the media processing, it will be focused only for those specific assets that is required for deep zoom. And then there is another thing like which we wanted to know is like the layer 2. So these are the type of assets that we are going to deal it with. So our assets cannot be always the square ones. Sometimes it will be like kind of a tall posters, or it can be the variety of channels that is getting used to it. So here is how like we have arrived at the formula. So this is 60 megapixel formula. So this formula is matters because beyond 40 to 200 MP, the browser can still zoom it. But only problem we face is like crashing. And another thing is slowness. So to avoid that one, we have arrived based on the assets which we are dealing it with. So this formula can vary with your product or client needs, but the calculation is simpler thing, which I can show you. So like we have the browser, I mean the speed, and this we have to avoid the slowness thing, and also uh, the time it takes to load it, and also the clarity of the image. So all these considering aspects, we have this formula, how we have arrayed it, but it need not to be the same for everyone, for every other clients. It can be varied, but this formula matters. And the layer 3. The layer 3 is simple, like it is the public link generation. It is actually the content hub is doing it. But on top of that, we are providing the deep zoom. That is like out of box, which Vinod was mentioning, with unauthenticated user without the portal login. So with all this, I'll quickly walk through like the demo, like how we have done it. So once the content of the asset gets loaded, the trigger get fires. The trigger is for like the assets which is required for the deep zooming. And like there in the script, we have the 60 megapixel formula. So there the formula which we have arrived based on our requirement, and then the rendition. So that is where being shared with those marketers and the consumers who wanted to use it for the different channels. So I'll quickly go through the demo like that we have done it for our client. So I'll just show the tall poster. So basically this would be the more size which we are dealing it with it.
Show it now.
Yeah, so this is the default one which Content Hub is providing. So for this one, I just need to log in, and it has this many variations, which the can be. I mean, this is the one of the tall posters which we were dealing it with. So when it has been designed from the designer, and when the time it to reach to the product owner, I mean the product managers who is one the going to distribute that with the different regions. So they cannot simply approve a particular asset without knowing the detail. Maybe that could be the minute details which they wanted to emphasize, since they are running with the different campaigns in a larger manner. So to avoid this access to be provided for the particular product managers of that products, we have avoided this thing and extended this out of box feature for even. So this link is the one which we are providing it for the unauthenticated user. That is like without the portal login, even a product manager can access, can know the detail of the posters, which even being before it get generated over any of the places. So that is why it matter. And because of this, what happened is like, I mean, we have reduced giving access to the product managers. So that is where like infrastructure wise we have done it. And also the time we have to give the KT to those product managers, even they are not from the technical background. It is we have supposed to give them and make them understand to check since we have this feature in the logged in version, we have to give them this KT about how to use this content hub and how to access this, how to check this Zoom. So that has been avoided. So basically we have saved the time, and also the cost to infrastructure, that is also we have saved. And now it happens like we have the different region where like the product managers exist. So here like now it becomes a central place where they can only tell like, yeah, these are the assets that can be approved for, and you can go for validations. So that is all happened because of even this could be a simpler thing, but it saved these many aspects of the business. So moving on to this, yeah, I would again give it to Vinod on the future version, like what we are planning it for.
We had our lessons learned. There were some pain points which needs to be which needs to be learned from other implementations, right? So PSDs and PDFs are not equal, right? Though both are different, both deals with the digital assets, PSDs behave very differently than the PDFs. The environment setup matters mainly for Sitecore Content Hub. Environment setup matters whenever we are doing these kind of configurations, which actually enables the public users to access the websites. Right. Now, moving forward, we are in AI era. AI, we all know that AI is not just, right? We all know that AI is not just a mandatory. AI is not an option. It's mandatory for everybody. We start implementing, adapting AI in our regular day-to-day lives, right? So whenever we are trying to do with AI implementation, right? These are all the future future use case in our roadmap, right? One is AI-based renditions based on the asset resolution. We can able to have ideal zoom percentage. Gayathri would have showed you that 60 megapixel formula. It's not fixed for all the content hub assets, right? So you might have thousand by 1,000 pixel assets. You might have, right, million by million assets, right? Based on that, we can actually derive a ideal zoom percentage based on so that it can be revealed to the public users. Natural language asset discovery. We are all happen to do the chat with AI, right? So we might get in a scenario where people don't want to hit the zoom button, go into it. Simply ask the AI, right? I need to zoom in the what is the characteristics, what is the composition of the food product? Give me the composition, I don't want to zoom it. So it will go on and show it at the zoom. So we have to create renditions based upon the natural language, right? Not just food or not just a artist, right? For all the assets, based on the previous zoom activity, we can actually create a natural language processing. And smart tagging based on whenever a user tags, let's say for example, if there is a shoe, most of the users go and zoom into the lace, right? Lace spot. If there is a t-shirt, they go and look into what kind of logo it is, right? Based on that data, we can actually create meta tags for the particular site. Meta tags to be used for SEO, GEO, and AEO things, right? Predictive pre-rendering is something which based on the user's activity, you can create pre-renderings in next to be used in the next public URLs, right? So with this is all a take home. We can actually create a media processing set which actually processes the assets and create renderings, which in turn the pipeline will create the public URL links. Again, whenever we go for the sessions, it's always good to take notes, right? We prepared the notes for you, so you can quickly have a look. So deep zoom, it's not just in configuration, it's a 3-layered approach. Media processing, it requires file type restriction. And 60 MB is not in fixed formula. You can have your own formula for your own assets. Then public links can be used anywhere, and it can be used for mainly the integrations. And we have AI use case. We'll be working on the AI in future to have it very updated version, right? So with that, we are ending the session. What we feel is innovation is it's not always creating something new. It's something which we need to, it's finding something which is valuable in front of us. Thank you for us. Thank you for the opportunity.